Thank you very much for joining us for this discussion with you. I will start with a first question. Can you tell us about the original idea about if I want to whistle, I whistle, and the connection with the play that inspired the film?
Yes, the history is like this. Like I was studying I was in Columbia University. I was studying film there, a master degree, and at that time I was my third year, third out of five, and it was Cătălin Mitulescu, the producer and the co-writer of the film, who contacted me. He sent me the draft that he had at that point. It was the draft that he was working on, based on the play. So I got the draft, the film script. I read the script. I said I'm interested. Well, we can get back to it. I said I'm interested for the wrong reasons, but I said I'm interested, and I never read the play. So I started working on the script, and we worked together on the script, based on the script that he wrote, right? And we applied to our CNC. The project got awarded, got funded, and then I returned to Romania. I finished my degree there. I returned to Romania, and I started rewriting it. So we were working together, me and Cătălin, on the script. And the moment I actually read the play for the first time was after the premiere of the film. So I had no idea about, I mean, I knew that the play had the same name, and but I didn't want to read the play because I didn't want to be influenced by anything in the play, because a theater play is one thing and the film script is another thing. And at that time I was very young, and it was my first film, and I was very cautious with having the wrong influence, you know. Yes, this is how it started.
Thank you very much, Florin. Can I ask you, the audience, if you have a question to share? Florin, yes.
Hello, my question is, what was the biggest challenge in making this movie?
There were a lot. To be honest with you, there were so many that I have no idea where to start. The most difficult thing was that it was my first movie. And basically, when you're doing your first movie, in many ways, you do not know what you're doing. And there's some merit to that. But still, it's very taxing on you. So there were many. The fact that it was my first movie was one of them. Another one was working with somebody on the script for the very first time, and it was very challenging but very rewarding, because I had a lot of respect for Cătălin and he had a lot of respect for me. So we worked very well together. But still, it's difficult because up until that point, I was writing by myself and I was writing my stuff. And now it's very different. But at that point, many times I took it personal, which should not be the case. It's work. The fact that somebody has a different idea or a very different idea, it doesn't mean that your idea sucks and you suck at it. But at that point, I was not that young, but I was very much. This was like, we started working on it. The movie premiered in 2010, but the first discussion was in 2007, and we shot the movie in 2009. And there were 2 years of. We wrote probably, I don't remember exactly, but I think over like 33, 34, 35 full drafts. I mean, from the top to the end, like totally different drafts. And the draft that actually entered the production was a draft that, because this is how we were doing for a very long time. He was writing, the movie was had two parts, the part of the girl and the part of the boy. And Catalin was writing the girl, Anna, the one that's been kidnapped, and I was writing the boy. And she had a whole story, she being pregnant with a teacher, wanting to have an abortion. It was a whole development. And this is how we stayed for a long time, and we casted for this part. And at one point, like I think was it 3 weeks before the principal photography started, we realized that it's not good, that it's not, we are not saying the right story, we are not telling the right story. So we stopped. We said, okay, we're not going to make the movie. We need to rethink that. And then we took like 2 days, and we stayed and we rewrote, and we basically stayed with his story, and we got rid of her story entirely. And she's there only when he's there. You know? Yes. So I think that was the biggest challenge, writing with somebody. And then there were many, but I mean, it's always like this, like working with kids because they were kids, working with prisoners because they were prisoners. I mean, real prisoners, real inmates, except him, the main character. Working with actors, with non-actors, there are different challenges working with actors and working with non-actors. So yeah, but it was a lot of fun. It was.
The question I have, Florin, is I was fascinated by the role of women in the film, in the sense that it seemed woman as destroyer on the one hand, and woman as nurturer on the other hand. And it almost seems as if the hero there, the main male character, hero villain character, he was almost acting out elements of both, in that he was the mother figure of his brother, and that he's prepared to almost destroy the very woman that's trying to nurture him. I'm just wondering, when that shot of the inmates, you know, with the metal cups behind the bars and so on, is the film, I'm not saying for 1 second or suggesting that it is, but is there a backstory in the film that is pointing a finger at women?
Yes, well, I can come up with something that's it's going to sound very intelligent, but this is not the point. We did not think about things like this. And to be honest, as a writer, myself, I mean, I don't know what other people are doing. I'm not thinking in metaphors like this. I'm thinking more in narrative devices. I know it might sound kind of dry and not very sexy and very appealing, but for me, the most important thing was to tell the story of this kid and his need for dignity. He needs to be seen, and he wants to be seen as a normal kid. And this was paramount for me. All the rest were narrative devices to boost this, to work on this. And this is how the mother appeared. The mother is not in the original story, I mean in the theater play. The mother was an addition that I came up with to boost this thing. The girl, the story, the original theater play is about 3 inmates that kidnap 2 girls. And it's like this, and it's basically the story of the kidnapping. And it ends in a very beautiful dreamlike sequence with them running away in a helicopter in Italy and opening a striptease bar. And then you realize that actually they died there, and this is their dying dream. So I didn't care about that, because that didn't help me to tell the story that I wanted to tell. So I'm sorry to spoil your party, but I was not really thinking in terms of the woman as a destroyer or as a nurturing appearance. I was just not. I was thinking of everything else as a narrative device.
I was just wondering, how do you feel about the film being selected to be part of the European Film Factory catalog and having the chance to reach a younger audience and be screened to schools? And which parts of the film, which elements of the film you feel would be more appealing or relatable or meaningful for high school students? Thank you.
For me, it's good that the movie still has a life and still goes around, and it goes to a younger audience. But my connection with the movie is very thin at this very moment. I mean, it's a movie that I did in the past. I don't think it's. I think I did a decent job, but as a director, but I did it more in terms of intuition. I'm more like using my intuition. Since then, I changed a lot. I'm not interested in this type of stories anymore. So really, for me, it's a thing from the past. If you ask me for some like succession in the movie, I have no idea. I don't remember how it is.
Question about the way you decided to film, because you are very close to the characters. You are using close-up shots, handheld camera. I presume you chose to film like this because it's a jail. Can you talk about the way you decided to film the characters?
Because it's a jail? What do you mean? Because it's a jail?
The way you directed the characters and the way you filmed them, because you are using close-up shots and handheld camera. Can you talk about?
Yes. At one point, you said something about jail, and I didn't really get it. But yes, well, this design was it was a conscious decision from the very beginning. I was very interested to bring a certain grittiness to the piece, and this was by at the very beginning. I did not think about having inmates to play the guys that are around the main character, but after the first day of casting, the casting took, I think, a year. After the first day of casting, I just changed my mind, and I realized that the kids that were coming in, I mean, students, like high school students, they just did not have the look, the fear, the anger, the violence, the aggressivity in their faces. You know, our face is a map of our life. It's of our history, and my face, your face, and their faces as well. And I wanted a certain degree of realism, and having these kids. And then why it's a whole story. I started going to jails to meet these kids, and I spent, I think, 4 months in total in jail with them, doing workshops and getting to know them. And then we rewrote the whole script after this experience. It was an enlightening experience, not personally, but for the movie. Everything changed. The dialogue changed. The narrative changed. And with these kids, with these faces, I could not have like a very studied Haneke type of movie camera that moves very controlled. with these kids that were nothing but violence and testosterone, you know? So I needed something that would match their presence. This is one thing. Another thing was that I was going for a certain rawness in the acting. So I was provoking a lot of stuff behind the camera, and I needed to have the freedom to choose bits from their behavior, and sometimes these bits were not from the same take. And this type of handheld camera and this type of editing would allow me to choose this type of bits that would give you the rawness that's there in the movie. Also, the fact that at that time we shot on 16 millimeters, and it was a decision that was not driven by economic arguments. It was an artistic decision. This type of boiling, I don't know what sort of copy you saw, but this type of boiling in the image, it's something that we tried several types of film stocks, and we were looking for this, and we tried different types of blowing up from 16 to 35 to get this rawness, this boiling quality. Almost like it's not amateurish, but these are things that kind of work on you without you knowing them, being there. So I hope this answered the question. I think it did.
Hi, Florin. You mentioned before that you adopted narrative devices in order to boost your story. And
Yes.
In my mind, it came up a question. What elements constitute your film as a Romanian film? Because if you follow your answer, it seems that your story could be placed in America or, I don't know, in a jail in the US. So what elements constitute your movie as a Romanian movie? Because, you know, it's a dark representation in the jail, the Romanian jail.
It's actually has nothing to do with Romanian jails. This was not filmed in the jail. It was filmed in a farm that we kind of put here and there some elements to make you believe that it's a jail. Because the jail, an actual jail, wouldn't give us it was not about permissions, wouldn't give us the look that we were looking for, wouldn't give us the landscape that we were looking for, the angles. And of course, there were limitations. I wanted the dorms to be wide in the jails, the actual jails. The dorms were small. There were like 4 people dorms, the dormitories, the cells, whatever you want to call them. So this really has nothing to do with representation of Romanian prison system. And if you're really looking at it, I think a good movie, and for what it's worth, this is a good movie. A good movie covers the mistakes of the writers, of the authors. Why? Because it takes you on the wings of emotions and brings you up and down and up and down in the valley and in the ocean and in the mountains and everything. But if you look into it, I mean, come on, there's a kid who kidnaps a girl, and then over there are 5 guards with arms, with guns, and he just says, okay, you, the warden, you give me the car, and the warden gives him the car. I mean, come on. It's a story. It's, you know, but you don't see through the net, because you're there with him and you're emotionally invested. But if you look at it, you can see the holes in the net. So in a Romanian prison, they would have kicked his ass and they would have killed him instantly, even if in the process they would have killed the girl. I promise you, this would have happened. He would never got away, open gates with the car of the warden. Come on. So this has nothing to do with Romanian prisons. It's can be, as you said before, it can be in the States. As long as it tricks you, it can be in, where are you? In Greece, in France, it can be over there.
We have young filmmakers here with us, so if you can tell or give them any advice about filmmaking, because they're thinking about their future profession in filmmaking, what would be your advice for them? Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. There's no advice that I can give you. Basically, the advice is, if somebody gives you an advice in like 5 minutes what to do, just don't follow that advice. Don't go for it. I mean, I'm still learning, and I am teaching myself. I have a school for directors and screenwriters, and I don't give advices. We work on exercises, and we are in a learning process. This is not, I mean, maybe there are people that can give you advices. It's not me. You just go for it if you have the chance.